4 years after exiting bankruptcy, our beloved ChuckECheese is making a comeback thanks to a dramatic makeover that will introduce games, pizza, trampolines, and subscription programs to a new generation. Some news hits you differently. Hearing ChuckECheese filing for bankruptcy in 2020 felt like a gut punch. For so many of us, this wasn't just a restaurant. It was a rite of passage, a childhood staple. Let's take a second to reminisce before we get into the nitty-gritty of what went wrong. Picture the smell of pizza wafting through the air, bright lights reflecting off rows of arcade machines, and that animatronic band doing their awkward but endearing thing on stage. For a kid, it was magical. It wasn't just a place to eat, it was a place to dream, play, and celebrate. If you haven't yet subscribed to Brobson Business, please subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss our latest story. If you somehow missed out on this childhood experience, or just need a refresher, ChuckECheese wasn't your average pizzeria. It was a full-blown entertainment hub. Families came for the pizza, but stayed for the games, the tickets, the prizes, and of course, Chuck E. himself. In 2019, 56% of their revenue came from entertainment and merchandise, with the rest from food and drinks. That's smart business when you think about it. Games and toys have much better profit margins than food. And the birthday parties? They were a massive part of their identity, making up 16% of their revenue. Anyone who's attended a birthday party at ChuckECheese knows how it felt. Chaotic but joyful, loud but full of laughter. The excitement of running around, trying to rack up tickets, and then cashing them in for prizes, it's a core memory for so many of us. Let's talk about ChuckECheese Mascot himself, or should I say Charles Entertainment Cheese. Yeah, that's his full name. Fancy, isn't it? Over the years, Chucky has gone through quite a transformation. Today, he's a hip, guitar-playing mouse, in jeans and a backward hat, clearly aimed at modern kids. But for those of us who grew up with the original, it's hard to let go of the nostalgia. The old Chuck E was larger than life, literally, with that oversized head, stiff animatronic movements, and a slightly unsettling smile. But you know what? We loved him. It's funny how something so quirky can leave such a lasting impression. And maybe that's part of the challenge for ChuckECheese today. As times change, how do you balance nostalgia with the need to stay relevant for a new generation? Now, let's rewind to where it all began. ChuckECheese was founded in 1977 by Nolan Bushnell, the same guy who gave us Atari. Talk about an innovator. His idea was revolutionary, combining pizza, arcade games, and animatronics into a family-friendly entertainment destination. Here's a fun tidbit. The restaurant was originally going to be called Coyote Pizza, but thanks to a costume mix-up, they ended up with a rat suit instead of a coyote. Rat pizza didn't sound too appealing, so they pivoted to ChuckECheese's Pizza Time Theater. The concept took off. Families loved it. Kids begged to go. And the company expanded rapidly. But with success came competition. Enter Showbiz Pizza, a rival chain started by Robert Brock, a former ChuckECheese franchisee. The rivalry between ChuckECheese and Showbiz Pizza in the 80s was like the Coke versus Pepsi of family entertainment. Both chains were racing to open new locations, sometimes in areas that weren't ideal. They were borrowing heavily to fuel their growth, which was great until it wasn't. The video game crash of 1983 hit both companies hard. Interest in arcades started to wane, and the novelty of the animatronics wore off for some customers. By 1984, ChuckECheese was drowning in debt and filed for bankruptcy. Here's where things get interesting. Showbiz Pizza, despite facing its struggles, managed to stay afloat and eventually acquired ChuckECheese's assets. Over time, the two brands merged under the ChuckECheese name, but the animatronic rivalry remains a fascinating chapter in their history. Fast forward, and ChuckECheese faced a new set of challenges. Competition wasn't just from other arcades or pizza joints anymore. It was from home consoles, smartphones, and streaming services like YouTube, HBO, Netflix, and many more. Why go out for games when you could play Fortnite or watch YouTube from the comfort of your couch? To stay relevant, ChuckECheese tried to modernize. They remodeled locations, introduced digital game cards to replace tokens, and revamped their menu to appeal more to parents. They even added free Wi-Fi because, let's be honest, parents need something to do while their kids are running around. But even with these updates, the core challenges remained. Rising costs for wages, ingredients, and overall operations put pressure on the bottom line. And then there was the debt. In 2014, ChuckECheese was acquired by Apollo Global Management for $950 million. Shortly after, they also bought Peter Piper Pizza for $113 million. These moves added over $1 billion in debt to the company's books. Even though ChuckECheese was generating millions in operating income, the weight of that debt and the interest payments was overwhelming. Imagine trying to climb a mountain with a 100-pound backpack. It It didn't matter how much money they brought in. It was never enough to keep up. For 5 of the past 6 years, the company reported losses. And then the pandemic hit.
The U.S. is now the world's epicenter of the COVID-19 pandemic, and cases continue to multiply there. Tonight, there are more than 121,000 confirmed cases throughout America.
The COVID-19 pandemic was a game changer. With locations forced to close, ChuckECheese's revenue plummeted. Birthday parties were canceled, arcades sat empty, and pizza delivery just couldn't make up the difference. It's a reminder of how vulnerable businesses can be when their model relies on in-person experiences. The pandemic didn't create these problems for ChuckECheese, but it sure accelerated them. ChuckECheese has closed some locations, restructured its debt, and hoping to find a way forward. It's a tough road, but this isn't their first time facing adversity. For me, ChuckECheese is more than a business. It's a piece of childhood. It's where I learned the thrill of winning, the sting of losing, and the joy of sharing a pizza with friends and family. It's where so many of us made memories that we still cherish today. ChuckECheese's struggles also reflect broader trends in how we entertain ourselves. As technology advances, the way we spend our time and money has shifted. Streaming services, mobile games, and social media have changed the landscape. But there's still something special about shared in-person experiences. The joy of running through an arcade, the laughter of a birthday party, and the simple pleasure of a slice of pizza. These are things you can't replicate on a screen. So what's next for ChuckECheese? Can they adapt to the times while holding on to the magic that made them special? I hope their newfound progress in the business arena will help sustain our beloved brand. Because of all its quirks and challenges, ChuckECheese represents something important, a place where kids can be kids and where families can make memories together. But enough about me. What about you? Do you have a favorite ChuckECheese memory? And do you think they'll be able to pull through with their new strategies and remodeling? Let me know in the comments. As always, thanks for watching. Here's to hoping that ChuckECheese, Charles Entertainment Cheese, finds a way to keep the magic alive for this generation.